Hello. I am Boris with Joranalogue Audio Design, and I've got a couple of questions. Who plays with modular synths? All right, quite some people. And who knows Joranalogue? All right. Okay, just to check how deep I need to go. So yeah, we're a company based in Belgium. We try to produce and design, of course, everything in Belgium. We're making strictly analog modules, not because we're purists, but because we like to design analog stuff and because we like boundaries. It makes us more creative, makes us think in different ways. So that's why we do modular synths. We started off 6 years ago, and by now we've got a little system going that's quite fun to play with. Let me check my. Yeah, what we try to do with the modules is have one specific function, but then everything goes to 11. You can dive very deep in each module, and that way we're trying to build some sort of analog computer that's focused on making sound, making music. I'm gonna just unpatch everything, walk you through a couple of the modules, and then I'm gonna just try and repatch most of it on the go, so you get an idea of what's actually happening. This is the funnest part, unplugging everything and starting all over again. Happy modularing. When they said I had to do half an hour, I thought, well, I can spend 5 minutes taking cables apart. Is English okay for everybody? Okay, cool. Because my French is okay to go to a bar, but not okay to explain a synthesizer. Ta-da, all nice and virgin. So what do we have here? We've got switch, which you saw during the little demo in the beginning. It takes an input and it sends it to the output with a momentary switch or just a static switch. Generate is our oscillator. It's a bit different than other oscillators. As with all our modules, they're a bit different than what there is already. It doesn't have your usual outputs, square, sine, and so on. Instead, you get your fundamental, even, and odd harmonics out, and you can. That's nice. I'll demonstrate. So this is the sine wave, the fundamental. You can add your auto harmonics, and you already hear at the level of the oscillator, there's already a lot of tweaking of the harmonics you can do instead of just taking out a sawtooth and then filtering it. Wave folder, very nice wave folder with two flavors of wave folding. Select 2 is our CV processor, attenuverter, summing, and so on. It's a utility. Mix 3 is our VCA and mixer, or a VCA we've got, and mixer, exponential VCA. Filter 8 is I think maybe our most famous module. It's a new filter design. It's got 8 filter response outputs. Of course, it self-resonates, makes a perfect sine wave. And it's got an audio mode for filtering and for your sine wave oscillator, volt per octave tracking. It's also got a low frequency mode. In self-resonance, you get, I don't know if you can see on the, yeah, you can see on the screen. You've got octature sine wave outputs for modulating stuff and so on. There's other like fun stuff to be done with it, but basic stuff. Link, it's a link or a multiple add is an adder or a mixer in 2 HP. More 4 is 4 tracks of linear VCAs with a special addition of a morph knob, which will morph or crossfade between the 4 channels as you like. So you can choose whether channel B and D are on the right side of the morph knob or on the left side, and so on. So you can really morph between for incoming audio or for incoming CV signals. You can also use it as a wave shaper and whatnot. So really interesting module. I can't go deep into everything, but RX or Receive 2 is our input module. So it will take your guitar or whatever line level audio equipment, and it will turn it into modular level, so you can use it within the system. Compare 2 is a window comparator, so it checks whether an incoming CV is within a certain range of voltage, and if it's in there, it will output a gate. So it's actually a gate extractor. You can extract gates from audio or CV. So in the case of CV or low frequency content, it will generate gates and triggers. In the case of audio input, it allows you to make a PWM from a sine wave and so on. Orbit 3 is a chaos oscillator, so it's might be nice to listen to it on the big speakers. Audio mode. So it's not random, it's chaos, and it makes noise, but musical noise. So, noise module, musical noise module, completely how do I explain? Noise with a frequency. It works both as does filter 8, generate 3, and contour. It works in audio and low frequency mode, so you can use it to make cosmic noise or to have broken sine waves modulate anything within the system. Contour, it's our envelope generator, so it's basically just an attack decay or an at first sight an attack decay envelope based on a trigger, but you can put a gate in there to have sustain. You can hold it, you can loop it to make a clock, or to make even in audio mode to make a triangle or a shaped triangle. It clocks volt per octave as well, or it takes volt per octave, so you can use it as an oscillator, a function generator, a slew limiter, whatnot. Step 8 is maybe of all the modules we've got the deepest one. At first I thought I'm gonna do a demo about step 8, but half an hour is too short. So the internet's full of good videos on it. I'm gonna use it as a basic sequencer today, but it's actually a sampling shift register. So it samples your input, and then it, if you want it or not, it will shift all the sampled values down a stage, so you get loads of possibilities in here. Also, this works in low frequency mode, so you can use it as a sequencer. But if you put audio rates in there, you've got an audio rate, wave shaper, and whatnot. 2 contours again, because you can never have enough contours. Then a link again. Delay 1 is coming in August. It's our delay module. It's a BBD device delay, but very clean. But because it's very clean, also very short, 50 milliseconds of delay. So it's more of a bathroom kind of you will hear it later. Short delay, flanger, chorus-like effects, room reverb kind of effects are possible. And because it's short, it's really good for corpulus strong synthesis. So you can actually use it as a single voice without input. Just by clocking the delay, volt per octave, you get melodies out of it. Show it in a bit. Pivot 2 is a nifty little thing coming in June. It's an effects router. So you've got an input and an output. You put an input in there, you take the output, and then you've got 2 send returns to, for example, a filter and a wave folder. And your input is going through the filter, through the wave folder to the output. But depending on the position of the pivot knob, we'll put our filter and our wave folder in parallel or anti-parallel. So you got the complete range of where your effect is located in the chain. It's really nice. Enhance is a stereo enhancer with width control, balance control. It's a mid-side processor actually. You got a tilt filter on the mids, tilt filter on the sides, and then you can take your, I don't know if it's clear here, but you can take your mids out and your sides out and put them back in. So if you, for example, you've got a nice stereo mix, you say, oh, my mids or the low end, which hopefully is in the middle, needs a bit more oomph. You can take your mid out, put it through a wave folder, put it back in, and only your mids will be affected. And then you can say, okay, but the sides need a bit more. I'll put a delay or a bit of reverb on the sides only. So that's our. In this case, it's an output module, but you can use it as a real sound design tool as well. And then our output module, just nice, very clean output. Any questions already? Very good. Then let me just, maybe we can do a super simple subtractive patch, because everybody knows synthesis that way. Everyone starts off with no one starts off with programming a DX7. Everyone starts off with a nice and simple subtractive patch. So what do we need? We need an oscillator, a filter, a couple of envelopes, VCA, and an output. So we'll start off with just taking a wave from generate 3 into the mixer, output from the mixer. Let's say we're gonna use a bit of delay in the end, of course, but the blend knob is the dry wet. I'll just set it all to dry, take an output here, oh, wait. Output here into the input. So now we've got simple generate. Let's make a clock. For example, a looping contour could be a clock. You take the end of rise or end of fall and it gives you a nice gate. It's in audio mode. I'll put it in full mode or low frequency mode. And it's looping now, as you can see. So it will give us a nice clock. I'll take the rise out, mult the clock because we'll need it later again, and then just use this to trigger an envelope. And this envelope, in turn, will open up the VCA. Wait. Nothing subtractive about this patch because there's no filter. So we'll put our generate through the filter, use one of the, put this in audio mode, of course, one of the outputs. I kind of like the low pass, the 3-pole low pass, and then put that back into the mixer. So now we've got subtractive control over our sound. If we now want to make this a little bit more ploppy, like 303 style, we can take our clock again, trigger a fresh contour, tack, take that one out, and then use it to modulate the filter frequency or the cutoff frequency of the filter. Boring. So we need a melody, and that's what we're gonna That's what we're gonna use step 8 for. So again, the trigger we're generating or the clock we're generating from contour. I'll take one out and I'll put it into step, and this will tell step to advance one step for every trigger it gets. At the output, well, step 8, it's got 8 analog outputs, 8 gate outputs for every stage and so on. It's got pause, reverse, reset. Oh, reset is kind of cool. I'll do it later. So the stages can be selected by stepping through them, but it's also got a stage CV input. I'll show. The CV input just takes a CV, and you can select your stage with a CV. So if you put a triangle in, it will go from left to right. If you put a sine wave in, it will go from left to right, but in a different manner. Every time the CV puts step into a next step, it will generate also a step output. So also this module can be used to extract gates or triggers from an incoming CV signal. But we're not going to do that today. The only thing we're going to do... Oh, where's my clock? Took it out. Here. We'll use the scan output, and what does the scan output do? It will just output the CV of the selected stage. And these CVs can be attenuated here. So full open is 5 volts, 2.5 volts, 0 volts. That's how we make our melody. We take our scan output, which has those CVs, and put that into the volt per octave of the generate. So we've got this now. Whoop, nothing. There. Use a little reset to make it a bit more interesting. 5-step or 6-step, let's say. No, 5-step. We'll take, the gate output of the last step or of the 8th step and put it into reset. Very simple subtractive melody here. This can then go through delay, or it goes through delay. I'll blend it in. So that's the very basic subtractive patch. Let's now say we leave the subtractive patch and we take the input away from delay. Nice. So delay doesn't have an input. The only thing we have is the output into enhance to the speakers. It's got a plug input delay, which when it gets a trigger, it gives a little noise burst into the delay line. And that noise burst is feedbacked and creates a tone. I'll demonstrate. So again, we've got our clock here. I'll plug the delay with the clock. And what we'll hear is just little noise burst. But now, if we give it full feedback, blend feedback, the coarse or the fine or the frequency of the clock will make melodies, and we can volt per octave this. So let's say, okay, we've got our scan output again from step. We'll take that and put it in the volt per octave of delay. So without. This turns delay into a single voice. So that's carplus strong from delay 1. It can go really crazy. Really crazy. Yeah, that's what I had prepared. Any questions? Yes. Yes. I'm here. I'll show you. Apparently, the lecture after me is cancelled, so I've got an extra couple of minutes. How it works is so the let's say a sine wave. Yeah. The window comparator says this is the window in the voltage domain. I'm gonna say I'll be high. So the sine wave comes through, the window comparator says, I'm high, goes out, says it's low. But you can change the size and the position of that window on compare. So by changing the size of the window, the time the comparator is going to be high is shorter. So by changing the size, you can change the pulse width of an incoming wave. I'll demonstrate. So filter 8. In self-resonance, nice sine wave. Up. I'll put it in the mixer so we can listen to it separately. First, link it up. To the output. Beautiful sine. We'll take that sine and put it into compare in the input, and then take the output of compare and put it into the mixer. So sine wave. That's what compare makes of it. Actually, be nice to have the scope now, so you can see what happens. By turning shift and size. I'll make the frequency a bit. I'll take another filter in self-resonance, low frequency mode, put it through a CV tool, select 2, and then modulate the size of the window. Nice PWM tones, PWM tones. I just got the sign from Francois that I need to shut up and stop the demo. Last question. No more questions? It's good. Then it's finished. Thank you, everyone.